Welcome. Here we are. We're back live now with the amazing Adam Urbanski. And Adam, I believe you're coming in from LA, is that right?
Orange County.
Orange County area. So we're grateful to have you live in studio today. And Adam and I were just backstage, kind of in our own little chat corner here, talking with each other about what he's up to. And I just wanted to thank you for coming in. I know you got a busy schedule. You have an event coming up in October. You want to tell everybody about that just real quick and let them know what you're up to?
It's about 5 main leverage points to increase profitability in the business. It's called Revenue Rev Up. So whether your marketing engine is not existent or just needs a few tweaks, fine tuning, that's the place. Just go to Revenue Rev Up Live if you want to find out more. But thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you having you out, and we definitely want to make sure that people know where to check you out. I was blown away by your material, and I told you this over chat, over Facebook, that I was blown away by your material in Denver. Obviously, we were connected through a mutual acquaintance, and I didn't really know much about your business or who you were, and I was incredibly impressed by your business knowledge. You talk about these 5 business points. Could you just give us a quick overview of what each of these 5 business points are?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 really quick, right? So, and it's funny, we just talked off camera here, which actually, I've got to start with a joke, So the funny thing is, I'm glad that I was able to impress you because all the way to Denver from Orange County last time, I was reading up on books. I was like, man, I've got to come up with some 5 smart points. So I guess it worked out. I learned quickly. Anyway, that was kind of a Polish joke. I don't know if I got it. But my expertise is always looking at. Apparently it's not a good word in English. I'm a tweaker. Okay. Yeah, tweaking is better than twerking. Twerking didn't work out for me, so I started tweaking. But I'm always looking at the business and looking at where the leverage points are. It's like if you just tweak one thing, one small step. Jim Rohn used to say that little hinges swing big doors, right? And we were talking off camera, before we went live, that on average every business is missing out on 70 to as much as 90% of the revenue they could be bringing in. I mean, it's like, imagine having a Ferrari, right? It can go from 0 to 100 miles an hour, in under 3 seconds, and you never drive it faster than 30 miles per hour. It's like, what gives? And yet we do it with businesses all the time, right? So the 3 main leverage points we always look at is how do you generate leads, and how many leads are coming in. If most people that sell services never look at the business, kind of like if you were a box of cereal, right? Or if you were a retail store. If you had a retail store, you didn't have a customer coming in for a day, you'll be panicking. You didn't have a customer coming in for a week, you'll be panicking, right? And yet, many businesses go on for like weeks, even months, without getting a new client, and just like sporadically get a client here and there as a search professional. It's like, that's not a business, that's a hobby. All right, so it's the first thing we look at is number of leads. Then once you get the leads in, how do you convert them? Right now, if let's say you have 10 conversations and close 1 deal, well, that's all right. But if you have 10 conversations and close 2 deals, you just doubled your business, right? If you have 10 conversations and close 3 deals, you just tripled your business. You did nothing else different, just improve your closing. You just did a lot better. And then the last part is, again, most people only have 1 product to sell. They bring clients in, they sell them 1 product, and then what? All right? Why not turn a single buyer into a repeat buyer, into an actual client, and then why not turn them into an evangelist and an ambassador for your business?
Right.
So that's the 3 main points.
Awesome. I love it. And if you were to, well, first off, I want to say to the audience, if you have questions for Adam, you've just seen the Denver content that we had, and obviously you see that this is a man who specializes in getting businesses going, up and running, profitable. And if you have a question for him, go ahead and post your comments below, and Vanessa's going to be sorting through those comments. She's going to be pulling out the ones that are really good, really juicy, and then bringing them out to us. So we'd love to have your comments, and so just go ahead and post those down below, and then we'll get those sorted out. But here's what I want to know. Let's talk about.
Let me give people a hint really quick. The questions we'll be selecting are the ones that starts with compliment for either Will or myself. Compliment us first, and we'll select the question. Otherwise, it's going to go to the bottom.
Yeah. Well, and here's what we really want to know. We want to know who has the better forehead, right? Is it me or is it Adam, right? Definitely
I'm going to be striking some Zoolander poses here, like going,
Awesome stuff. But while we're waiting for questions, here's what I want to know. I want to know if you had a client, because I think that the first hurdle for a lot of people whenever they're brand new in business is they don't really know how to get leads at all. They have no idea how to do it. So if you had somebody who they had a legitimate business, they had a legitimate product or service, and they were going out there and they were trying to figure out how to get more leads, what are a few tips that you could give them to help them get started?
Yeah, it's so funny because lead generation is actually not a problem. It's a symptom of a problem.
Okay.
Right? So if you have a program to offer and you can't attract clients, it's usually because you probably don't even know who your clients are. Like you haven't taken the time to figure out who are those people. Like what do they do for a living? Where do they hang out? How do they talk about those problems? So you may remember from our interview, I talked about I get drunk and talk to clients, right? Well, that's really where it starts. You have to start figuring out who are those clients and where do they hang out? What language do they speak? That's usually the first thing, because once you know that, then it becomes clear where to find those people, and then it becomes clear what you need to put in front of them. So, for example, again, I look for entrepreneurs, right? So I'm very clear that I'm looking for business owners. And then within that, I'm also very clear that I've got, several layers. So for example, here's how specific it needs to be. Well, if I start talking about, I don't know how to get your first 5 clients, it's very interesting to the person that it's a very early stage of a business. But if my target market is someone, for example, like you, who's got a successful business but wants to leverage, either a multiple 6-figure or 7-figure into multiple 7 figures, right? To them, how to get the first 5 clients is like, it doesn't resonate because they've been there, done that, right? So to them, a better message would be kind of like how to maximize your Facebook advertising, right? Or how to scale your Facebook ads from $100 a day to $1,000 a day. Now that may be a topic that you go like, oh, I'm paying attention, right? Or it will be something like how to bet, if you have a database of 10,000 people, how to triple the revenue you get from your list. That may be again a topic that would interest my market. So you've got to be very in tune with who your audience is, what language they speak, and what's the next big problem they're trying to solve. All right? And once you figure that out, then tactics are abundant. I mean, we could go after Facebook advertising. We could go after joint venture partnerships. Great strategy that lots of people overlook is hosting mini summits, telesummits. But if you bring in 4 people, 6 people, 12 people within your market, bring them all together in a course of 3 days or a week, and each one teaches for 30 minutes or an hour, and you promote that, man, I'll tell you this, I'm part of a program right now where I think they actually have about 40 experts in the program. It only started a week ago. They've already built a list of over 15,000 people and brought in over $50,000.
Wow.
You see, I mean, it's like, so he's starting with somebody who nobody knew of him, and then a week later he's got an audience of 15,000. By the time the program is done, he's going to have an audience of 30,000 people, and nobody knew him a week ago. All right, that's kind of how you go about it.
That's incredible. It's the process of gathering experts together and then leveraging the power of having this group and the social sharing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so the next part, if you've got a specific, so I told you that it's a symptom, right? Lead generation, it's not a problem, it's a symptom. So once you figure out your target market, the second problem usually is that you don't know what you're actually selling. Like there is no actual package to sell. You're kind of reinventing the wheel every single time. So the advantage of being in a program where you have a system provided by a company, kind of like Empowerment Network is, right? You've got something specific to sell. Well, you should have the offer figured out. And that's a key component because then you can figure out things like, okay, so I'm getting, for every 10 leads, I'm converting 1. All right, So let's say that, what do you get paid for one customer? Let's say that one customer is worth to you, I don't know, $500. All right, it's just making it up. So if it takes you 10 leads, so you take 500 divided by 10, that's $50 a lead, right? Which means that you can spend up to $50 to acquire a lead and still break even, right? If you want to make money, you have to pay less than $50 per lead. But knowing that information, start thinking, where can you pay $50 and get a lead, right? So all of a sudden, advertising becomes available, and you don't start thinking, well, what's the cheapest click I can get? But you start thinking, where can I go and invest up to $50 and get a lead, because I know if I get 10 of them, I'm going to turn one of them into a $500 client. And let's say that it's $500 a month you get from that client. Well, then would you give up 1 month's profit for acquiring a client that then pays you $500 every single month? So it's two things that I just mentioned. One is knowing who your clients are, and the second one, having a system to convert lead into a client.
Awesome. Great, great stuff. Now we have a couple questions that have just come in, so let's go ahead and dive into questions. Nobody has complimented either of our foreheads yet, so I'm like,
then we don't have questions. Moving on then.
No questions. Yeah, moving on. Let's go ahead and dive in here. George here says, Rebecca says that Adam has the best forehead. So we'll go with Rebecca's question first, okay? And I would have to agree, much sexier, right? And the accent definitely gives him the edge too, right? So Rebecca says, when dealing with potential customers online who are afraid of that live conversation, such as Skype, Facebook, or even a phone call, do you have any tips to draw them into conversation?
Got it. So essentially what I'm hearing is you're prospecting online, but you can't get the person to actually engage with you, all right? Yeah. So, in every transaction, whether it's a free opt-in, joining a live streaming program like this one, or getting a person to talk with you live, you have to realize that there are at least two opposite forces at play. One of those forces is perceived risk, and one of those forces is perceived value. And if the risk is higher than value, they will not take action. So at any given moment, you have to figure out, how do I reverse that risk? Perceived value has to be much higher than the perceived risk. So in an interaction online, the person receiving your information will be asking themselves, okay, chances are they're going to pressure me into buying something. I will feel uncomfortable. Is the gain worth my discomfort? Nah, probably no. Okay, so I won't engage. So how do you pile up the goodies so high that they go like, wow, I'll be an idiot not to take this person up on a conversation. So you may want to think through the entire dialogue. Let's say you start let's say that, you and I connected online, right? And let's say I posted something that, I help people start their own, make money in their spare time, right? And then you post, it's like, oh, I would love to do that. Then, the biggest mistake most people make is like immediately they go, they pounce on a prospect and go, well, if you want to make money in your spare time, then let's talk. Let's get on the phone. It's like, whoa. I just kind of said it would be nice to do that, right? But I'm not quite ready. So think, what would be kind of an interim step? Maybe I would ask Will, awesome, Will, are you in a type of side business right now? All right, it's the first question. Or like, maybe I could ask them a question like, so, Will, what would drive you? Maybe I would even say like, hey, side hustle is hard stuff. What would motivate you to want to start a side business? And let me see if Will engages. And if he engages, then I would say something like, hey, just send you a PM. And in the private message, I may send him something like an interview with a story. I'll probably have a bank of stories, people like Will, right? Man, working 7 jobs, having 5 kids, expecting a 6th one. It's like worrying about college bills. And then they found this side gig, and it's like super awesome. And before they knew it, they started making more money. And then now they only work 1 job in the side business. And then side business is doing really well. They quit the main job. I would send them a story, right? And I send them the story, and I say, hey, if this excites you, then maybe we should chat. And then if they say, wow, this was really good stuff, I'll say, look, well, I don't know if what I have is for you, but I at the very least can give you a few good ideas how to start your own side business. You know, again, I don't know you from Adam, but I'll be willing to give you 20 minutes of my time and chat and just kind of give you some ideas, maybe inspire you to speed up the process if you're open. Right? So I think the main lesson here, Rebecca, is that you want to come on less aggressive, be more conversational, and maybe include a few interim steps, because not every person that engages actually is a prospect. So they start by being a lead, like they say, wow, this is really good. I would like to have a side business that makes me money. That's just the lead. What makes them a prospect is that they, let's say, consume some material from you, and then they said, you know, I'm really serious about starting something, and my timeline is right now. And then you offer a conversation, and again, it's always conversational, and it's always like, look, I don't need you, but you can really benefit from what I've got.
That's huge in terms of an attitude. Now, Adam, I'm curious how you would walk us through this. Beforehand, you gave us a link that's clientattractionsecrets.com. Actually, Vanessa, if you could go ahead and put that in the chat so that people can take a look at what Adam's doing. And I recommend that everybody go and take a look at Adam's stuff. Go log in, put in your email address, click the submit button. He's got awesome material. But using the same psychology of getting people to come to you rather than trying to, you know, push on people, and what's the psychology that you used in that clientattractionsecrets.com link that you gave us?
Yeah, very cool. So the psychology in that is very simple. I'm offering a 90-minute workshop, free training, how to turn what you do, your business, your passion, into a client attraction system. So kind of what we talked about earlier. Every business is missing on a tremendous amount of revenue. Some can't even get started. Some have gotten themselves to a certain point and got stuck. And they usually get to a certain point by a sheer power of perseverance. They're just so excited, so motivated. They kept pushing, and they got to a certain level, but there is no systems. And, you know, well, you guys do consulting, you work with businesses, you see how it works. I mean, all the time I talk to companies who are making multi-millions, and then I get to peel the onion, so to speak, like pull the curtain apart. I'm like, where's the business? Where's the system? It's all like stuck together by a duct tape. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, really? You know, so the offer essentially is we'll walk you through 5 critical components that we help our clients, our students implement. And another part of it is that instead of focusing on a tactic like, hey, do live stream or do blogging or you know, go and do YouTube videos or do social media, all of those tactics will work once you turn your business into what I call a marketing magic black box. It's like it's working on the inside so well that all you do is you drop a lead and out comes the client.
Nice. And
actually, before we even go further, so another thing that I'll show you is, you know, I'm a huge proponent of a couple of things in your business. Number one is what I call EBU, educational-based marketing. All right. So you're always teaching.
Right.
The second thing is DRM, direct response marketing, which is everything you put in front of your potential lead or potential client. It causes them to have to take action. It's either a yes or a no, or it forces them to respond. So it's kind of like the link you gave people, Client Attraction Secrets. It's either a yes or a no. You go in there and you see what's being offered, and it's either a yes or a no. Yes means you're moving forward, and no, you say like, you know, not for me. No problem. We just had a first filter in place. We just filtered you out. That doesn't mean I am a bad person. It doesn't mean you are a bad person. It just means that what I offer is not for you at this moment. We're not a fit. Perfect. We're not wasting each other's time.
Right. Well, this is a fascinating conversation and a really good example, I think, of what Rebecca was just asking about. You know, how do we come across in a way that people are being drawn to us? Now, this is an interesting question. We're going to pop back up to George's question, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this. But George asked, do you have an elevator speech that you use on potential clients?
Yeah, I do. So ask me what I do.
What do you do?
I sell drugs. What do you do, Will?
Yeah, I'm buying them.
Now,
I'm kidding.
let me just. Yeah, that sounds funny, and we're laughing, but there is this real psychology to this whole thing.
Right.
Now, uh, you know, 99% of people are so tuned into their head,
Yeah.
they can't hear what's being said to them.
Right.
So what I just did is a pattern interrupt.
Right.
Right? Now, and I'm essentially paying attention. Did this person listen or not? And I can tell you that about 90%, so like 9 out of 10 conversations in real life, you meet somebody, they say, "What do you do?" I say, "Oh, I peddle drugs. What do you do?" They will completely bypass they will skip my answer as if it didn't exist, and they will launch right into answering, what do they do? Why? Because when they asked the question, what they really wanted is they wanted to talk about themselves. But it's impolite, so they asked me first, right? So when I give them an opportunity, usually they will launch into this, and then like 5 minutes later they'll say, "Wait, what did you say you do? Something about drugs?" They may not even remember that. So meanwhile, I am gaining valuable intel about what it is that they do. So when they do eventually circle back and say, "What do you do?" I said, "Funny you ask." Because remember, like moments ago, you mentioned about this program you want to launch, right? Because now you've told me. I said, well, I actually have an entire system that guarantees people 3 to 10 times better results from the launch than what they would have done without my process. And now, if I told you that, what's the next question you would ask me?
Well, how do you do that? Right?
Exactly. You see, now you're interested because now it's something that applies to you. Now you actually heard me. All right. So kind of a goofy answer, George, is I tend not to answer the question. Or people say, "What do you do?" I say, "I'm a professional schmoozer. What do you do?" All right. It's like I would say the weirdest thing just to test if they listen. If they actually listen and come back and say, "Whoa, what did you say? What did you do? What?" I said, "Wow, you actually listen. Very good." All right. And then I actually go into my actual what it is that I do. If you want the formula for I don't call it elevator pitch. I call it magnetic marketing message. And it's magnetic because it stops people and they kind of go like, "Wow, can you tell me more?" Right? And it's got 4 core components. Number one, you've got to address who is the target market that you're working with. So target market is your first component. All right. So I would say, if I would say something like, if you're sick and tired of working for the man, if you've been chewed up and spit out a few times by the big corporations, and you really thinking that it's time for you to work for yourself, right? So it's like I just described my target market, and then I would talk about a big problem, right? So either big problem or a big dream, and I can combine. So, but you really think about working for yourself, but starting your own business is so daunting. Like, where do you start? Or maybe you've tried something before, you sign up for things and they never work out as promised, right? And you're looking for this one solution that you could truly get behind. You're looking for this one business that you will be passionate about to run. So what did I just describe? Some potential problems that your ideal market would likely have experienced and a dream they have. If you want a business that would free you from financial worries, right? And then that's the second part. The third part is what I call a hub. Hot, undeniable benefit of doing business with you. And so again, in this case, what would I say? Well, what I do is I show people a 7-step process to go from zero to a successful business guaranteed. All right. Or I show people how to start a business with little money, no experience, and that they can run in the spare time guaranteed. All right. So I just gave them the benefit of doing business with me. And the last part, the fourth part, is optional. It's call to action. All right, so sometimes you just stop after describing what you do, and sometimes you may ask something like, "Would you like to know more?" Would you like to know more? There's so many formulas. It's one formula, right? And I can say that whole thing, in under 20 seconds, if I actually in under 10 seconds, and probably in 7 seconds if I really get it down to one sentence if I have to. But I tend to not to put myself in situations or prospect where I have 7 seconds. I try to create situations where I have a lot more time to describe what I do. And again, think about it in terms of an infomercial on TV. In fact, when I started my business, I coined the term edumercial. It's like educating people about your business, but it's like infomercial on TV. And here's what I found fascinating. Like, Will, what you do, what I do, what George, Rebecca, what Jeff, what all of us do is so freaking amazing. It transforms people's lives. Yet, when we have conversations with people, they will give us 5 seconds, and the eyes glaze over, and then they go like, "Oh, okay, next," right? So unfair. And then I watch late night infomercials, and I realized, I'm sitting there for half an hour, glued to the TV with my mouth open, watching them talk about a rag on a stick. The magical duster mopper that works by itself, And I just do snap, pop, and crack, and man, the house is clean. And then I'm like rushing for my wallet, going like, man, I better be the first 10 to buy. And $100 later, I just bought a rag on a plastic stick. And then it hit me like, wait a second, they sell a scrap on a stick, and I spent half an hour watching and learning about it, and then I gave them $100 of my money. What was their trick? Well, they used the formula. Are you a kept husband that has to clean the kitchen all the time? Right? It's like, well, that's me. Are you frustrated with all the dirt and kids messing up your kitchen? You can't keep it clean? Wow, that's me. Are you looking for an easy solution that's going to help you, clean up your kitchen in no time flat without ever bending over? Look, that's me. Right? And then they go into stories of 10 kept husbands and fathers that had to keep cleaning the kitchens on their knees and scrubbing the floor and how miserable they were. And then they discovered the crack, pop, and snap, map on a stick. And ta-da! Their marriage improved. The kids went to college. They saved for retirement. The sex was better. All because they bought those maps. Man, I want this. I want this thing. Give it to me now. Right? So I'm exaggerating, but we do the same thing. We change people's lives. We just talk about it in a boring way. So George, one last thing. I don't have a predetermined elevator pitch. I always try to think, what situation am I in? Who is the person talking to me? How can I make it interesting to them? And I'm always realizing they're listening to me with a remote in their hand. At any given point, they can switch the channel. And if I'm not keeping their interest, which is I'm not talking about them, they're gone.
That's beautiful. So what do you do to make sure that you're not in situations? This is awesome, by the way. That was worth having you on. Every minute of the interview, just to hear the crap. The crap.
We're done, folks. This was the peak point. We're leaving.
This was the peak point. This is awesome. So the mop on a stick. But what is it that you do from a psychological standpoint or from a strategy standpoint to make sure that you're not in situations where you're consistently only having 7 to 30 seconds to pitch your business?
Yeah. So. Great question, all right? And sometimes it's unavoidable. So, for example, if you find yourself in a networking situation, right, where you meet people kind of face-to-face and you're not positioned as the authority, so to speak,
right?
You're just one of the participants, then you're kind of forced into this one-on-one conversation, right? So the first decision that I've made years ago is to eliminate situations like this as much as possible. So instead of looking for once a week networking meeting, I would rather look for a once a month networking meeting where I get to be the invited guest speaker. Because now when I'm an invited guest speaker, guess what happened? Rather than everybody coming up saying, what do you do? And I have 7 seconds, now I get to go on stage and I get to tell my story for an hour. I just reversed that situation, right? Same thing when and if I can't be a speaker elsewhere, then I just put little snippets of invites and invite people to something like my Client Attraction Secrets training, right? For 90 minutes, I walk people step by step through what's in it for them, how I can help them, and teach them, and then they get to make a decision. Do we like this guy? Do we not like this guy? At any given point, they can leave, right? Just like an infomercial. But so essentially, for me, it's a decision. I consciously look for opportunities to become an expert rather than just being one-off. All right? So if I can give you a tip, a strategy, let's say that you do go to places where you network, and let's say that they do bring a guest speaker. one of the things I learned when I was networking is to hijack the attention of an audience and become positioned just as the speaker is positioned, but in a very elegant way. So, for example, when the speaker teaches, they would usually leave time for Q&A. So when it's time for Q&A, I stand up and I do what most people don't do. So I'll squeeze in a 7-second intro, all right? And I make sure that it's thematically close to what the audience came for to the meeting. So let's say that they had a marketing training expert, right? So I'd say, hey, Adam Urbanski here, and we teach people a 7-step process that guarantees them to get more leads faster. Now my question for you is this, right? So what did I just squeeze in? I just promoted my people. Immediately people afterwards say, well, what do you help people get leads? What? Because it perked their attention, right? And then the second thing, in the question, I make sure that when I listen to the speaking, I find an opportunity, I find the crack, and I would say something like, so, I really appreciate what you shared. And when you talked about X, Y, Z, I'm kind of curious, what happens if this happens? And I ask them to go deeper into a specific section, but it's usually something that is of interest to everybody in the audience, but they didn't think about it. Right? So by the nature of asking, I asked the question that the audience should have asked, but didn't.
Right.
And because of that, I become instantly elevated to an expert status in the room. So what happens at the end, the room immediately gets divided into 2 groups. One group goes to see the speaker, and the other group goes and tries to talk to me.
Interesting.
All right, so the same thing happened. Now the speaker has a group around him, and I've got a group around me, and they all go like, well, "What do you do? So what's your business?" And again, immediately things change because I am positioned as an authority rather than try to go after everybody. Go like, "Hey, I can help you."
Awesome. I love it. This is good stuff. Let's go down to question 3. This is Jeff. And we're going to take these two last questions, and then I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We really appreciate you coming out and spending some time hanging out with us here. Question 3, Jeff, is what has been the biggest hurdle for you in the area of sales, and how do you overcome it?
Wow, I don't even know where to start. Sorry, I just had some...
You're good.
I had stuff in my copy. I forgot it's in there now, and I'm chewing it. Let me start with the overcome it first, which is one of my first coaches was actually a sales coach. In fact, when I started my coaching consulting business, the first coach I hired was a sales coach because I realized I sucked at selling. I was horrible at it. Especially that, my background is in the restaurant business. So when I was running my restaurants, it was very different. People would come in to our location, and then it's like, they were ordering off the menu. We're basically an order taker, right? But now I've got to sell, and I've got to sell myself first. I've got to build trust. I didn't know how to do this. I was never trained. And so having a coach helped me tremendously. Now, today I realize that the coach I hired was very much old school. I would not want to learn the same methodology today, so look for someone that kind of really understands the modern psychology of selling. But, the problems were I couldn't tell, selling from shoveling back then. It's like I just didn't know the difference, so how could I do it well? I didn't have any training. And aside from that, I didn't know how to build rapport. I didn't know how to ingratiate myself. I didn't know how to build trust. I didn't know how to create a value gap, like where the person is, where they want to be. I didn't know how to discover the why. I didn't, there was selling is the fastest self-growth program you will ever enter. Because whatever objection you are getting repeatedly from your prospects has nothing to do with your prospect. It's 100% with you. Right. So if they talk about stuff like they don't have the money, or they don't have to have the time, or they have to think about, whatever they throw your way, I can guarantee you it's always on you. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a potential client just last week, and it's funny because they're in business similar to mine, and kind of sell a similar program, and they wanted some of my help. And when we talked about our higher level coaching programs, he said, in 90% of people that come to me, like very rarely somebody pays in full. It's pretty much we split our fees into a 12-month payment. I'm like, wow, you do what? Really? So 90% of people that come to us pay in full, and then for 10% of people, we offer them payments. It's total reverse. And I said, do you know what it is? And he said, no. I said, when you talk to prospects, what do you expect? He said, well, I expect that most of them don't have the money up front. I said, that's it. I said, I expect that most of them have the money to pay up front, and that's how I act. And they find the money. All right, so I don't know if I'm actually answering the question, George, but I had all sorts of issues. I wasn't confident enough to, when somebody said, well, I want to think about, I didn't know what my response should be. All right, if somebody said, I don't have the money, or like, man, money is really short, blah, blah, I would become sympathetic rather than empathetic. There's a big difference, right? Sympathy is like, oh, yeah, I commiserate, poor you, yeah, I know, nobody has any money, blah, blah, blah. That's BS. Empathetic is like, look, I get it. I know how it sucks when you have to make a choice between buying food for your kids and putting gas in the car. I've freaking been there. But you know what's one way to get yourself out of there? Put new knowledge in your head. And if that's the reason you came to me, let's make it happen. Let's not make money a reason you don't get the help you want to get. That's uncomfortable as hell to say to someone who has money issues, right? So you've got to heal your money issues first. So the biggest problem, George, is that we as human beings have a lot of wounds. And all of those wounds get ripped right open in a sales conversation. And if you don't heal yourself first, you can't close. I know it's a little maybe too metaphysical, but that's just the truth. You can get scripts, you can get all sorts of things, and it's very helpful and it's needed, right? But the bestest scripts, right? It's Polish English, will not do you any good if you're a mess.
Heal your money issues first. Close this. Yeah. Close this in a second.
Money, relationship, mommy, daddy, sister, brother issues, hurt relationships. All of that stuff will come up.
Yeah. Super powerful. So we got a last question here. This is from Brian. Brian is asking, what books are you reading right now? And I might expand that to say, if it's not a book, what are you studying right now? Like what topics?
Good question. So I can tell you, it's funny we actually talked about healing, right? Because I'm always looking like what's the next level.
Yep.
So let's see. Right now I like to listen to books nowadays. Like I just drove to San Francisco and back, so that's like 2 books for me, right? Because I listen on double the speed. So one book that I just finished, actually it's the second time I'm going through it. It's by Jack Daly, Hyper Sales Growth. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, perfectly.
All right, so that's one really good book. The guy built like a company from 0 to $100 million in like 18 months.
Wow.
Freaking insane. Just build this sales force, right? So this is a little bit about selling, but it's really about leveraging beyond one person. So this is very cool. Here's another book. Now guess kind of what I'm trying to do from my topics.
Right. The Scaling Up.
Scaling Up by Verne Harnish. Okay. That's the same guy that created the one-page marketing plan. And then last book I'll show you. This is really a good book, especially if you're looking to break through money shit, relationship stuff. It's called Letting Go: The Pathway of Surrender by Dr. David Hawkins. Freaking crazy, really good stuff.
Awesome. Letting Go: The Pathway to Surrender. I almost bought that. I almost bought that last night, actually. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was like on some sort of special deal, so I got it and I just devoured it. That was like, wow, this is really a good book. So I highly recommend get yourself an Audible membership, and turn your little communication device into a walking university. It used to be university on wheels, right? Now you can walk and learn.
That's right. It only takes one good idea to change everything.
Brilliant. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I really appreciate you coming out tonight, and I want to just do 2 quick things here before we leave. First is Vanessa, if you could just post in again into the comments his link, clientattractionsecrets.com. If you want to learn more about Adam, a great way to say thank you for coming in and hanging out with us and sharing his knowledge is just going to his page. If the offer matches what you're interested in, put in your name and email address, or his email address, whatever he's asking for, and check out his webinar. And that'd be a great way to just say thank you. And because we love having him come out. And Adam, you've been great. Now, if you like the content that you got today during the recorded segment and during the live Q&A, you'll absolutely love what we do inside of our Max Profit Accelerator. Our mission is to help you take your passion and monetize it, turn it into profits. And that's exactly what this that you just saw is a piece of. It's part of a 24-module program that's designed to teach the passion-based entrepreneur. We're talking about a coach. We're talking about someone who is an entrepreneur trying to turn their first profit part-time in the evening. How do you take whatever you're passionate about and turn that into a profit? There's 24 modules of information, interviews with people like Adam. In fact, Adam's content, I think we played 35 minutes of it today. There's about an hour's worth of content total between me and Adam. And then other experts, several of the experts have closed more than $100 million in sales, giving you the insights of what would they have done in the very beginning to get their business off the ground, to get their message out to clients, and really to start turning those first profits and getting their message out into the marketplace. And so if you're interested in that, there should be a link right below this video. You can click on that link, and that'll take you right to an order page. And this will be literally the last time that we offer this program at the $297 point that we've got there tonight. In 2 days, we're going to be repackaging this, and we're going to be selling it at a higher price point. So if you like the material that you got today and you want to find out what the rest of the material is, if you want to get the ideas and the learnings that are inside of that program, you can click the button below, fill out the order form, and buy it. And again, it'll be the last time that we offer it at the $297 price point. I want to thank you for being here.
Well, can I chime in really quick?
Yeah, please do.
So for those of you who have seen our live interview in Denver, I don't know how much you've seen, how much you've shown this time. This may be kind of a familiar move to you, but here's what I want to share with you.
Sure.
Thanks. I really appreciate Will being invited again and being able to share with your audience. Folks, I appreciate you tuning in and participating. You know, you are my favorite type of the person because you are someone who invests in yourself. Right. You make time. You know, no matter how busy you are, you make time to participate in things like this to become a better person. So, George, you asked about sales. One of the things that shifted for me in selling is when I shifted from needing to make a sale to deciding that I am there to make an impact first and foremost. The sale is like very remotely secondary. So the same thing happens right here, right now in this situation. Look, I appreciate you, Will, promoting my link very much. But, you know, truth be told, look, you've been following Will for a while, right? You've been watching his videos. You came to this presentation. Obviously, you like what he's teaching you. Why not stick to the same teacher? I'm always teaching people, look, until you out-earn me or out-strategize me, why are you going and looking for another teacher or mentor? You've got Will, you've got Max Profit Accelerator. They understand your issues. They understand your problem. They structure the program to help you. And then for $300, and I bet there's some sort of guarantee you probably always do, right?
Always.
So, you know, again, I get zero out of it. There's nothing in it for me. I'm just looking for your best interest. You follow their methodologies. You follow their thinking. You understand them. They understand you. Go with them because they can truly help you, right? And so that would be my first. If you still want to come and learn from me, great. But don't overlook the teachers that you already tuned in. All right, maximize your learning with them. So go with the Max Profit Accelerator because to me that will be like the next logical step for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you the kind words. And the reality is that everything that I'm doing, I do for a reason. And that is that I remember what it was like, and I've got a friend here in my office that's here with me as well. I remember what it was like when I had my passion, I knew what my life was all about. And I knew that I was going to go into coaching because as I was doing my practice hours as a coach, as I was just learning how to be a life coach, and I would watch the lights come back on in someone's eyes and watch their passion really wake up and get strong again, I realized that I had found my home, but I had exactly no idea, zero idea how to monetize it. And there was this really crucial moment that I was in where I had a corporate career, I was making very good six-figure income, and I had to make a decision, how am I going to leave a corporate job that was a good job to really pursue my passion? And so if you're in the place right now where you're trying to figure it out, where you're trying to figure out how am I going to step into my dream and to live my passion, more importantly than anything that we teach you, if we can inspire you to do what you and you alone are built to do, it will be worth every penny that you invest. So it's time to step up, click the button below, and say yes to your future, and that's what this is all really about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Adam, once again, we thank you, and great things. I took some notes. I'm actually going to be going through the recording later on and taking some notes from what we talked about. I really appreciate your time, and I wish you all of the success in the world, and I'm just grateful that you'd spend some time with us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure, and best of success to you and all our listeners. Take care. Cheers.
Good night.